Hi, welcome to Cliterally Speaking the Podcast. I'm Michelle Doherty.
And I'm Emily Lane.
We are BFFs dedicated to bringing you conversations between girlfriends over a bottle of wine.
Oh, I am so excited about the wine part.
Oh, me too. So pull up a chair, grab your glass,
And let's get talking.
Hey, Emily, how are you today?
Hey, Michelle. I am flying high.
I know.
Yes.
I know. This is like a whole new feeling for us
It is.
since we started the podcast.
I know.
Crazy.
I know. It's pretty, for so long through, the last several years, I have just, we've talked about it. The frustration and dismay for our leadership, has been very challenging to deal with. But throughout this election process, I never allowed myself to feel hope. And, but I have to tell you, so on election day,
On Tuesday of last week, yeah.
I was so giddy the entire day.
Really?
Which I think must have been a result of just collective energy of everybody around doing something to impart change. And the feeling in the air about that, I was giddy. And now
Right.
I'm just...
We're ecstatic.
We
We're
are.
ecstatic because, we helped to defeat fascism in our country. Well, first step towards the defeat of fascism. I know that...
How are you?
I know. Well, I feel great. I feel
Yeah.
like I lost 100 pounds of emotional weight from Saturday 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
When they made the announcement. Tuesday, I was so sad and so depressed because the results, was coming in and it was so clear for Trump on Tuesday because they hadn't counted the mail-in ballots yet and stuff like that. And I was just like, I don't know how I can survive another 4 years of this turmoil that we've been living under. And I was talking to my boys, I'm like, I guess we need to start learning some music, like the Von Trapp family.
Right.
We're going to have to cross some mountain into Canada. We'll start getting making our clothes out of curtains, things like that. And I start packing right now? And then on Wednesday, when those returns started to change, I started to have some hope. And then Saturday, when the announcement came, I cried.
Of course, yeah.
I wept of relief.
It's so interesting because it is, looking back and realizing all of the stress that we've been carrying in our bodies throughout the last several years, the frustration for the decisions and the concern over the future of our country, of our world, carrying that, I didn't realize how heavy that was, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I do feel a levity now that, honestly, I'm just so hopeful for, are thankful for, I really, like I said, I think I had I don't know. I knew that it was going to be tough. I knew that it was going to be tight, but when you look at the popular vote, not so tight.
Well,
right?
I mean,
5 million vote spread here, right?
But we still have 70 million people who did vote in favor of Trump. So we do have some issues that we'll have to talk about. But it's not going to be it's not something that we are going to have to every single day trudge through.
Yeah.
Dread waking up. What did he do overnight? What did he say overnight? I mean, all of that kind of real estate that he's occupied in our brains for 4+ years, he just gets to go away in 10 weeks. It's just going to be a wild ride between now and then, of course, because...
Yeah, it's not going to be easy.
Like any spoiled brat, he's not very happy with the idea that, I'm not the chosen one?
He's going to take a lot of people down with him.
I think so.
Well, gosh, you saw today, he fired the Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, of course. He's just going to
try to compromise.
He's going to do everything that he has been successful at before, and it'll be interesting. But we won't have We won't have to deal with the likes of the crazy criminal mind of Stephen Miller anymore. You know, just the outright blatant grifting of our resources,
Right.
our economic as well as our physical resources here, our emotional resources.
How
It's
about not making decisions just based on what's good for you?
right.
Like actually making decisions that's good for the world. You know, like that. I've heard many people right now talk about how they feel like a war has just been won. And I think that is
Yeah, I had my friends all from Europe were texting me and thanking me for that, telling me to tell the American people that they are so grateful that we voted him out. You know,
Yeah.
and I want to just express to our listeners, Emily and I haven't we missed a week.
Yeah.
To release an episode. One, we've been sick and back and forth, but I couldn't talk about anything.
Yeah.
I couldn't think about anything else. I didn't know what we could say, and I just apologize that we were in a holding pattern. I mean, I basically was on my phone or the television for 24/7, waiting for every new batch of votes to be released, and so thanks for sticking in there with us.
Yeah,
knowing that this is a much happier episode than if the results had been otherwise.
A celebratory episode for sure.
And then I thought now Emily and we can talk about sex on our show. We can talk about so many other things on our show.
We can have pleasure back in our lives.
And joy.
Exactly.
I mean, we are actually feeling joy. I know in my neighborhood at 10:30 when the announcement was made, we went outside and joined with other neighbors, and then it became this impromptu party in our median, and all champagne and prosecco, and just everybody was. It was like we had become untethered.
Yeah, it's a really good description. We went through 4 bottles of champagne on Saturday between 3 of us. So we definitely also found a way to really indulge in the joy of it all.
I actually had to take a charcoal tablet midday.
Oh my God.
Because
that's saying something.
Because I hadn't had anything to eat, or I'd swam in the morning and done my stuff, and then it was like, I was doing all of my different therapies, and then I got the call. I was like, well, I can't say, oh, wait, hold on a second while I eat this really big sandwich or something. It's like, no. So I started drinking, the champagne and on empty stomachs.
Yes.
And then we ordered pizza. So we had a couple tables of all the pizza out, and the kids were running around. And our friend Julie got a great picture of one of the young girls. She's probably 8. And she was carrying the Biden-Harris sign over her head and marching so proudly.
Oh my gosh.
And it touched me. I was like, that's an incredible picture. And those kids, I think they'll remember this day because of how their parents were reacting. And I bet you those kids are going to see a change in their parents' demeanors in their homes.
I believe it. Yeah. These images of all these children now looking at the leadership with a different lens. Julia Greco, who was one of our earlier guests many seasons ago now, she posted a wonderful photo of her daughter who's, under the age of 10, a young girl, just mesmerized at the television, watching Kamala as she did her address on Saturday. Hello. Cheers to that. I mean,
we got our first woman and a first Asian American and African American and biracial and just smart and composed.
Oh, she's so smart.
And
eloquent,
insightful, and eloquent, and
powerful.
Watching their acceptance speech, and when the families came back out on the stage, I again was moved to tears during many aspects of it. But to see the families love each other,
they do.
They hugged each other, and they held hands, and you could see that it was a genuine emotion in both families. Yeah, that has been absent.
Yeah. I agree.
Completely absent from the White House for the last 4.5 years.
That real authenticity, love, and genuine love and care, you know. And we certainly saw, wonderful images when Obama was in house of, the behind the scenes moments with his family and his dogs. And it was just so clear that the heart was there, and it is nice to know that the White House will be full of love again.
Right. Yeah. And that the White House isn't actively trying to kill people. I mean, think about the folks who for the last 4 years have been scared to walk out of their houses,
right,
because of the color of their skin. And I know that that may make all of the decades and century of suffering that the African Americans have had. I don't want to trivialize anything. I just feel as if everybody had a target on their back, whether women's rights, that they're still going after Roe v. Wade and the power of choice, police brutality got out of, really just everything was just so fucked up. And I guess the only thing, not the only thing, that's again another bad qualifier, but one of the things I guess we should be grateful for, and we have to, and I've said this before, is he exposed all of the cracks in our institutions, and he capitalized on them,
right, to
his own benefit, to his own pocket, and we have to now. We can't go back to normal. We can't go back to the way it was, because that is like, that doesn't fix those systems. It doesn't move people forward. It just keeps the status quo. But and we just have to keep hold our leadership accountable. Yeah. And let's also toast Cori Bush, the first African American woman congresswoman from the state of Missouri.
Yes.
She was a Black Lives Matter protester, nurse in Ferguson, and she's going to do great things. And one of the things that she said that really resonated with me is that, I'm a nurse, I've been on the streets, I understand what people are thinking and what they need, and we need to have representation in Congress of the people who are being affected by the decisions.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
And she's going to be bringing that fight to Congress. So I'm just really excited about that. In Missouri, though, on the other hand, we still have still stuck in pre-Civil War, and don't like women or people of color. And as I said, I think we have the highest concentration of tiny dicks in the United States, and lack of spines.
It's so interesting how much, we live in the city and we surround ourselves with like-minded people. So it often comes as a surprise when you learn that there's a lot of people who think very differently, who are anti-science, anti people, right. But I thought it was really, when I was at the voting polls, I saw somebody that lives in my neighborhood that asked one day a really interesting question when Denise, our producer, and I were walking around the neighborhood, as we do on the weekends. And he
not for pleasure, not for income.
Right. We're not hooking. We're just walking. So he, an older gentleman with these piercing blue eyes, which there was something about those eyes that made it seem like I kind of want to talk to him, know? And he stopped us and he said, "So, what did he do today?" Referring to Trump.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like, does he assume that like your boyfriends have done something making you guys go out and walk?
No. And he might have said something like fearless leader or something like that. Like, what did he do today? And of course, we both just sighed and lamented. And he's like, "Oh, I guess I know what side you're on now." And I thought, and then he quickly was sharing his opinion, which was the opposite of ours. But I thought, isn't that an interesting approach? Because you can lob that question out there, and depending on do they sigh or do they hooray, tells you really quickly where you are. I saw him, in the line voting, and I was like, "Oh, I know what you're voting." Yeah.
Did you? I would have stopped and said, "You're not supposed to vote till tomorrow." Did you not get the memo?
Well, what I thought was interesting was that he was there with his wife, who's an immigrant wife.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
I have tried, and we should find some kind of psychologist or something to have on our show. he actually, according to early results of analyses of the vote, that he got more white women voting for him this time than he had last time.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What is wrong?
Is it maybe just possible that it's just due to the fact that there's more people voting, period, therefore the numbers are up?
I don't know if it would be the percentage. I don't know.
I mean, that would be interesting to look at.
Yeah. And literally we would not be sitting here today if the African American community and specifically Black women had not come out
Very
to
true.
save our democracy again.
Yeah, let's
They did it
cheers
in
to them.
2018.
Yes.
And they did it in 2020. Cheers to that.
Congratulations.
And we have to, again, back to the idea of holding our leadership accountable. We can't just keep expecting the African American community to save our asses, keep things nice for white people. I mean, what is wrong with white people? Mm-hmm. If we all rise, the ship, everybody rises.
We all do, right? Right. We all win.
We all win.
Yeah.
If we all rise,
right. Versus if just half of the ship sinks, guess what? The whole thing capsizes.
Yeah, it's going to take on water.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can doesn't matter how much money you have, you're going to drown just like the rest of us.
Absolutely.
And drowning's not a very pleasant way to go.
No, but let's talk about drowning ourselves in happy beverages right now, because we dove right in our celebration. We didn't even talk about what we're celebrating with. We are drinking some red wine. Actually, well, we definitely did it on the bubbles this weekend.
We have had a bit of bubbles, but be prepared. We'll be having bubbles on more episodes.
Yeah. So I actually pulled this bottle of wine from work. As you know, we always have a stash of yummy, delicious wine there.
Hopefully your work is okay with that.
Well,
all right,
I do refill. I replenish.
Okay.
This is Saldo, which is the same. It's the same maker behind Prisoner. I don't know if you've ever had Prisoner. Prisoner was one of those wines. My good friend Amanda, who is an avid podcast listener, by the way.
Hello, Amanda.
She introduced me to Prisoner many, many years ago. And it was really, it just dense, decadent, yummy red wine. And so he has, branched off and done this really modestly labeled bottle, which is kind of cool. It's like literally has a red piece of tape with Saldo typed
it's
on
like
the
a
label.
Like a whole label maker thing,
Yeah.
That's what is it raised? No.
It is. It is
bit,
textured. Yeah. So this is from 2018. This is a California Zin from Oakville, California. And it is every bit as delicious as I remember Prisoner being when I was first introduced to Prisoner. It's got kind of that nice, dense
We haven't had a red Zin
fruit.
on in
a long time. Really cherry and chocolate and a little bit of I don't know, almost like a hazelnut wood on the back end, it's really just absolutely yummy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised with the aroma.
Mm-hmm. And there's some earth on that nose.
Yeah.
And on the palate, it's really velvety and
easy to drink. A good finish.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It lingers with you, kind of I'm not.
It has a long finish.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that I'm not getting tons of tannins or anything.
Yeah.
But it has this nice, long, supple finish.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
It's delicious.
So yeah, I think this is a really delightful way to have our little celebratory conversation.
And it is, I think it's the perfect wine to drink when you're defeating fascism.
Right.
It's freedom panties.
It's free. I love that. Yes.
Yeah, whatever your freedom panties look like, if it's a flag, if it's the Statue of Liberty,
it might not even be panties at all.
It
just might be commando.
It might be freedom. Just however you and no fascism. There's no fascism panties. Yeah, it's very good. Thank you for bringing that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Thank you, work.
Thank you, work. We appreciate it. Well, we're going to have a wild ride ahead of us in the next few weeks, and we are going to do our best to continue to give you our unfiltered and authentic reactions to it. I know that another positive benefit is that because he was so bad,
Yeah.
I actually learned more about my country in the last 4 years because, you sort of take things for granted when you have relatively stable leadership. Now, I didn't care for George W. Bush at all, and I was pretty depressed when he got reelected.
Yeah.
And I was gauging, like, I was really depressed when he got reelected. How depressed could how much further could I fall if Trump had won more votes?
I am very excited that the world is rejoicing in this
bells
change.
rang in Paris just like they did when World War II ended.
I know, and fireworks in London. The world is rejoicing.
Fireworks in St. Charles County.
That says something.
Even though they voted red.
The thing that that gives me hope in that world support of this decision is that if he tries to somehow cheat and fight his way to stay, which we know he will.
Oh, he's already starting this, yeah.
But if for some reason he found a way to make it work, I now believe that the people are empowered enough and the world is here with us to make sure that doesn't happen.
He'd be repudiated. Like, it would just, no, this isn't. I think that if he cheats in his way and, they manipulate something, I think it will actually erupt into something even worse.
I agree.
You know, I loved to see the dancing and the celebrations all across the United States and the cities and the impromptu parades with the, honking of their horns, and that kind of joy, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to put my little wager out there that in about 9 months we're going to have a lot of little Joes and Kamalas being born.
I think that's a really good call.
So the hospitals better be prepared 9 months from Saturday. Give or take a few days, you're going to have this baby boom.
Definitely. This has definitely been a time of baby boom,
Yeah. I mean, we're going to be having, since we've been doing COVID now for 7 months, around January, you're going to start seeing probably those early quarantine babies being born.
So speaking of change in our times, did you see what Pfizer announced with regards to their COVID vaccine?
Yeah, I did see that today. So
so there's some promising,
and thankfully Pfizer didn't take any of Trump's Operation Warp Speed money, so it's all independent. So it's not. So he's not going to make any money off of it unless he has Pfizer stock, but whatever.
I'm just, yet again, I find something else to be hopeful for because I've, like so many people, have been concerned that we're, in this for another year at least. And just based on the conversations that I've had in my various task force and whatnot. And that is extremely exciting for me to hear that seems like we're getting close. So there's so many things to celebrate right now.
Many things. And the other thing that you just to continue to do and protect yourself is wear a mask. Wear masks, people. It doesn't impede your ability to get from point A to point B.
Right.
You can still, go to a restaurant. Well, right now you can, and it just it keeps you from getting sick. Mm-hmm. And it keeps you from, infecting somebody else if you don't know you have it.
I should probably tell you about my tussle I had on election day.
Did you? Oh, yeah, tell us.
I got in a tussle.
Was this before or after you voted?
Before.
Oh, my goodness
Which
gracious.
is why I really, I was careful because I'm I do not want to compromise my opportunity to vote.
Right.
But it was a very long line. There were 3 districts voting out of my one area. Yeah. So it was, 2.5 hour line or something like that. So, and we got there at 6:30 in the morning.
Wow.
So yeah. So anyway, I'm standing there and this whole time, this guy that's directly behind me is coughing constantly. And yes, he has his mask on, but he's not doing the
Cuff
anything,
into your arm
nothing. He's just coughing right behind us. And everybody that was around us, you could see every time he coughed, everybody's eyes got really big and, holy shit. So I finally, after 2 blocks of it and into the 3rd block, I'm like, we're still got a ways to go. I turned around and I was like, I understand that you're wearing a mask, but would you please also cover your mouth when you cough? And he said, oh, so your name's Karen, right? And I was thinking to myself, how horrible is it that now, anytime a man disagrees with something you say, he can just call you a Karen.
Right.
And now all of a sudden it's like an insult. And I was like, look, we're living through a pandemic right now. A lot of people are concerned. Social courtesy is in order,
Yeah.
Thankfully, he shut it down and didn't combat me after that. And he also didn't cough one bit after that.
Interesting. You scared the cough out of him.
I didn't know I had such power.
Some people when they, you get hiccups and then somebody scares you and you're like, I don't have my hiccups anymore. He was probably actually secretly grateful.
Right.
Because it sucks, when I was recovering from my cold.
Right.
I'm like, okay, I've got my mask off, my mask on, and I'm going to cough. I'm in an interior place.
But you were also being courteous about it.
I would grab my scarf, all this stuff. But it sucks at the tail end when you have a cold, when you're still, all those things are still lingering in. But good for you.
So mitigate the concern of others and just show them that you care. Like, move your little arm and all the stuff that you would do.
Even if when I had to cough when I would swim. Now, I know you can't really cough when you swim, but when I would get to the end of the lap and I knew I needed to cough, I would get my towel and cough into my towel versus just, around.
Right.
Even though I'm surrounded by chlorinated water, which probably kills anything that touches it. But
yeah. So that was my tussle, and I was like, it was really. I really when I responded to him, I wanted to be much more. I wanted to say much more, but I didn't, because I didn't want to create a scene and I didn't want to compromise my opportunity.
So you didn't start off listen, fuckwad?
No, I didn't say fuckwad.
Look at you. Now that we don't have...
I know, I'm so free.
She can say it. It's a fun word to say.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
I feel very liberated right now.
Yeah. Well, now that we don't have a fascist leader, you can say fuck as many times as you want. And it's okay. Goodness gracious. Well, Emily, I am really pleased at the results of the election. I'm really, really pleased that we can talk about so many more things. It feels like we've been released. I felt like I felt as if we, along with everybody else, has been stuck, and what's that? Suspended. And where do we go? Can't go left, can't go right, can't go forward, and now, we have intelligence, compassion, empathy, creative solutions. We've got people who are out there working for the best of all of us,
Absolutely.
Not just who voted for him.
I think Joe really handled that well. And how about that for just a second? Trump and Camp started calling Joe during the debates and stuff. And I think that they were just, hey, Joe, man, they were saying things like that to diminish his strength. But Joe used it to say, nope, that's great. Call me Joe. I am accessible. I'm one of the people, right?
Yeah.
And I love how they embraced that.
Yeah.
And so I love the fact that I'm just in here, Joe. I'm just
Joe.
President-elect. No, just Joe.
Did you see how he trolled Trump when he came jogging out on the stage to have his acceptance speech? He literally, Joe Biden jogged out. Had a nice little trot going. It's like, okay, all right, Trump, let's see you jog. Let's see you jog up on the stage and then talk intelligently for 20 minutes or however long he spoke.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah. It was really sweet. And then, of course, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, and her white in honor of the suffragists.
Yeah,
And,
wasn't that lovely? Oh my God, so beautiful.
I mean, we had our 100-year anniversary of the right to vote, and we got it took us 100 years to get a woman in the near the White House as the vice president. But we did it, and
we're on our way.
And like she says, she may be the first, but she won't be the last.
I know,
and
I
I
love
truly,
that.
truly believe it.
I do too. Yeah.
Well, hey, listeners, thanks so much for sticking by us. And I know that you guys have probably been on the roller coaster ride, just like we have.
And you're celebrating as well.
And you're celebrating with us as well.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate you. Thank you for voting. Thank you for making your voices heard. And here's to a next 4 years of, well, I guess you would say pure bliss, because we came from pure hell. So I don't necessarily, it's like there's extremes.
Things will be getting better for sure.
Much better for everybody all around.
Yeah.
So
cheers to that.
Cheers.